It's live, Kemal.
All right, good afternoon. It's United Medical ACO live session, session number 15. Today is December 4th, Friday. We are here to give our regular updates for the COVID-19, and there are some other updates that we have. We would like to share these with our patients, with the public, so anyone who can actually benefit from this, that's what our goal is. I am going to first introduce myself. My name is Kemal. I'm the chairman of United Medical ACO, as well as other responsibilities that I have. And I have Tanner from our business development with me. Tanner.
Hey everyone, my name is Tanner Fuchs with business development here at United Medical.
So we do this event weekly, and then every once in a while we have different guests, either internal or outside of our organization. And today we are going to have Anthony Onugu joining us later on the vaccine update. He's our director of our contracting department. And I am going to share my screen with you guys. So I'm hoping that everyone can see what's going on. So just to okay, and then so we are live on YouTube, Facebook, and I believe on LinkedIn and Twitter, right?
That's correct, yeah.
So what we have here is our wonderful office, decorated by our team. They did a really good job this year. We thank them. One of the main maybe topic that we want to emphasize, the term that we want to emphasize is the quadruple aim, which many people hear the triple aim, and the issue with the triple aim is it doesn't include the physician practices, and we do not believe that unless you have the physician practices in the mix, you won't be able to get a good outcome. And our physician practices, private physician practices, hospital-based, doesn't matter. They do a lot of work, and without them, it won't be possible. Today we are going to actually discuss, as I mentioned, the COVID-19 updates, the latest on vaccine. And one of the articles that I wrote actually last year regarding the transition of care, and then this is more on the education for what's happening from our side, and then explain ourselves a little bit better. Now, as everyone know by now, the number of cases are increasing, and it's increasing to a point that is that's scary. Now, as of today, the total numbers that we have is, I'm going to actually bring the live update here. So it did cover the picture. Okay, so here's the United States update. So 14,586,246 confirmed cases, 283,519 the total number of people who lost their lives, and the recovered recovered number is 8,572,061. This puts us at 97% recovered over discharge ratio, which is actually a good rate, but total number is so high, so it makes it a little bit scarier. Now, what I would like to do is just, many of you already know what this is, because I know that many of our patients and our employees are following us, and we are sharing these on a regular basis. But one of the really important part of this worldometer that I use for our updates is the 2 days and yesterday and then today's numbers. So we have our provider meetings, right, Tanner? So it's usually at 6 p.m. So when I check the number for the today's number for at the time of the event, I see, like last night, it was about 180-some thousand.
Yeah.
So now I didn't check the yesterday's final total yet, but I'm going to guess that it's going to be over 200,000, just because 6 p.m. number was already at 186. So let's see. So 218,000. So we kind of knew that because at 6 p.m. it was already at 185. So now 2 days ago that number was at 206. So these are 2 days in a row consistently over 200,000, which is concerning. And I do know the other countries are going through the similar issues. Now, from the state of Delaware standpoint, I just want you to see this from our home state. The United State average test in 1 million, it is, okay, so let's see where we are. So it's 610. So out of 1 million, 610,000 people got tested. Now, unfortunately, our Delaware is much lower than United States average. So we are at 441,000. This actually, our guys would know this by now. It used to be, we were a little bit better than the average, Tanner. So if you remember the way that we have, how we shared this, we were better than the US average. And then we actually went down, and then now we are all the way down. Mm-hmm. So that's a pretty...
we are trending in the wrong direction.
Exactly. So that it's hopefully we can see a little bit better numbers there. Now, so let's go to our Delaware specific updates. So with the hospitalization, I think yesterday, Tanner, if you want to actually, I think you are able to unmute yours.
Well, I didn't join with the audio, so that way we didn't get feedback.
Okay.
So with your screen up. But if you just want to go through these, that's okay.
Well, no, you can go ahead.
Okay. So yesterday afternoon, was discussing and preparing for this with Kemal, we noticed that, as you can see up here on the top, we have our trend in the state of Delaware for our percent of persons testing positive. So with just the bars in the line, you can see that we are trending in the wrong direction. It is increasing, and it's a little concerning with the holiday that just passed, as well as the holidays coming up. We definitely want to be keeping an eye on that. And that kind of goes back with those low test numbers as well. I think it's going to be more important now than ever that we are getting more testing done, because that's what's going to really reflect in that data is how well or how much the virus has spread during this holiday season, and how much is going to spread during the holiday season.
So let me ask you this on this one. So the only reason I stopped sharing so they can see you. So, so governor decides to do this as of yesterday, right? This came out.
This came out yesterday afternoon, although it doesn't take effect until.
No, that's kind of like the concern that I have. Mm-hmm. So if this is needed, wouldn't we think that it needs to be in effect right away, rather than just waiting until the 14th?
I agree. I think it's a little concerning that we see and we know that what challenges are coming ahead, and then we're already starting to see the effects of those in the data. And then they put out some sort of plan to prevent the spread, but almost say that for now, we're going to put that off until 11 days from now, I believe. What's the 14th one? So I think that these types of measures are something that we can start to take now to then go forward and to really minimize the spread of the disease going into the Christmas other holiday season.
So the other thing that I see is like sport activities, they are banned, right? But then they can practice. So I still don't get the difference.
It's no, it does kind of seem like it's not as. I'm kind of just reading through some of this stuff now too with the holidays, and specifically, it looks like they want to look at schools going forward. I know that they are coming into a natural break as it is. Getting into the holiday season, our schools are going to break, but it looks like that they are going to then in the spring kind of promote more of a hybrid learning to start, as well as try to minimize some of these events going forward that might cause some like the after school stuff that's causing larger crowds to gather.
So the other thing is that I guess with the household stay at home advisory, that's going to be also kind of challenging with the universal indoor mask mandate. Not sure how it's going to be monitored anyway.
Right, that's going to be kind of difficult. As I think that's why this is more so an advisory. It's something that we're definitely going to recommend because it's going to help, especially when we're going into, again, a season where we're going to have a lot of indoor gatherings, especially with possibly family traveling from out of state, elsewhere. So it's definitely going to be a smarter move when it comes to gathering just outside your immediate household.
Yeah. So, well, from our point, we are emphasizing the mask as much as possible, but I still see some people who are not following that. Now, in our office, every time someone comes into the office in the morning, we get the temperature of the person, and then there's a log, and then they have to write down all that. So the other thing that we want to share with our people is the way that we are actually monitoring our internal COVID orders. So this is kind of interesting because, Tanner, if you can actually kind of explain what your team does and how United Medical ACO is approaching this.
Sure. So what we see on screen right now is just the data that is being reflected from, I know Kemal had gone over the numbers of positives that we're seeing for the state of Delaware, but we really want to make sure we're keeping track of this data within our patient population. So what we're doing when our providers at the bottom, you're seeing the number of orders that we're having placed by all of our providers in Delaware and the ACO. So myself and with the rest of the business development team, we are making sure we're getting and capturing an accurate representation of that data so we can kind of really get a good idea on how our patient population is being affected. So the way we're doing this is we are actually, the business development team is conducting some follow-ups, making sure that our patients, or that we have a result for our patients for each of these orders to the best that we can, and following up and making sure that there weren't any barriers to getting the order or getting the test rather completed from our patients. And we're doing this by actually doing some follow-ups. So we're calling these patients, we're making sure, seeing if they were able to get the test done. If not, maybe what's going on, how could we help? And then we're marking that result, whether it be negative or positive, in our internal data set and database. So this is that data that you're seeing reflected here. And I think that this is really important because, again, it's not just the state of Delaware in its entirety, but this is our patient population. This is who we're taking, who we're responsible for and who we're caring for. So after a couple of follow-ups, we'll try and reach out to the patient a handful of times to make sure that we're getting the accurate data and seeing after amount of time, because they're not always able to get it right away, but we want to make sure that they are in the best position they can to get the test completed if they need be. So that's what this data is. It's just the number of tests that we're putting out for our ACO and how these results are coming back from our patients.
So when we were prepping for this meeting yesterday, based on this data, Tanner, so we were actually looking at people who were positive, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then I'm going to share this with our audience, but sure. Other than the positives, we also have this group of people who are not following mm-hmm. the test. Like they're given the test, but they're not following.
They aren't following through in the test, correct. And that is a little bit, I know you were mentioning, we took a look at this data and started to kind of visualize it, because I think that that's more so a concerning population. Mm-hmm. If you're getting the tests, you have to assume that there was a reason for them having the order. But if they're not going ahead and getting tested, then that is a potential positive. That could possibly be a case that we were concerned enough to place the order, but now they're not following through on it. So therefore, they very well could just be as positive. So you'll see, like in these last couple of weeks, we're starting to really see a number of patients that are getting these tests and then deciding not to follow through.
So this red one here is the week of the 16th, the total number of positives.
That's correct.
But because we know that positives are already a problem, mm-hmm. so what we want to emphasize here is these yellow ones. So these are the ones, people who are given the order and they did not follow up. Now, with this, the way that I just want our patients to kind of understand, when we are calling you and the business development is following on top of the practices, so you are getting the call from our central office. So we at least follow up twice on top of the office, and we still have people who are not completing their test. And I personally am extremely concerned about that. And then I'm hoping that we can educate our public, and we are talking to our providers to make sure that they can be more firm with their patients. But this is a problem. So it's a problem that we definitely need to address. So Tanner, this is your slide. So United Medical Cares, tell us what this means.
Sure. This is just, I wanted to kind of visualize just how throughout the entire year, so this number, 399,781 total patient populations for our practices here in the state of Delaware from the beginning of the year to now. So just wanted to show how through the pandemic, through other challenges, of course, like with having, bringing different types of care and still being able to provide the same amount of care throughout the year, we're doing our very best, and we're succeeding at still seeing our patients and providing the care that they need.
So this almost 400,000 patient appointments. So that's only for our Delaware practices.
Correct. Yeah, that's just.
And they're not unique patients. So these are patient appointments, and I believe the total patient numbers from that is over 100,000.
That's so, right. But I wanted to really show like just total amount of patients appointments, because I think it's a testament to the success of telemedicine. So we're able to still see patients maybe 2 or 3 times when in the amount of time that maybe they only would have been able to come in once. So.
Definitely. Yeah. So at this time, we are going to ask Anthony Onugu to join us. And one other update while Anthony is signing up. We have the latest update from CDC, shortens the COVID-19 quarantine recommendation down to 10 days with no test, 7 days with the negative test. So that's the new update. Anthony, thank you for joining us. Yes. One of the questions that comes to my mind is like, if the numbers are increasing and all these are happening, I don't know if reducing shortening the time of quarantine is the right thing. I mean, I don't know. What do you feel? How do you feel about that?
I think that all of this is a result of additional data being available as the process goes on. One of the points you made earlier was about the recovery rate. When you showed the first slide with 97%. When we started this whole process, it was about 70-something, 80-something, but now it's at 90-something. It's all about increased data, increased understanding of the virus, and what the mitigation measures should be. So everyone is adapting as more information becomes available.
So, well, we'll see if hopefully it's not contradicting the whole process. I'm just worried about that. Now, we are going to talk about the vaccine. That's what I really needed you for today, for this session. So now I know you are the man behind all the updates that we have for our network. So the way that vaccine is happening, there are a lot of issues around the vaccine. Who's going to get it? Who's not going to get it? And if we can just get an update on overall where we are right now and what we are expecting. And there are a couple other questions that I have for you.
Thank you. There are 2 vaccine candidates that have now moved into the phase of emergency use authorization. That's the Pfizer vaccine, Pfizer and BioNTech, and then the Moderna vaccine. Those are the 2 primary candidates that we're looking at. The FDA has scheduled a hearing on the 10th of December for the Pfizer and on the 17th for the Moderna vaccine. The emergency use authorization enables both companies to begin to roll out the vaccine immediately. And it's projected that these decisions will come effectively from the day or the day after this first scheduled meeting. And then similarly for the Moderna vaccine after the 17th. So that's, broadly speaking, that's where the regulatory process around the vaccines are at as we speak.
So one of the, I guess, the issue is who's going to get it and how, how it's going to be distributed. So I know you were at the state meeting on Tuesday night for Delaware. Can you just update us what it would be for Delaware?
Yes. Essentially, at the federal level, most of the guidance is coming from the federal level and then transmitting down to the states. The consensus largely is that the phase one of this will be healthcare providers, healthcare workers, mostly facility-based healthcare workers, and long-term care facility residents and workers. Those will largely be the first recipients of the vaccine. Remember that these two vaccines, both the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines, are two-shot vaccines, which essentially means that those who receive the vaccines will receive 2 shots of it. The first one beginning from this month, and then the second one likely from early January for the second shot of this. The state of Delaware is expecting to receive its first consignment of this sometime in mid-December. The second hearing at the FDA level is on the 17th. So generally speaking, we can start looking at the shipment of the vaccines sometime about from the 15th going forward, assuming that everything goes as expected and an approval and an emergency use authorization is granted to first Pfizer and then Moderna. The state's overall plan is that the phases will be concurrent. They will bleed into the next one, but all of it guided by the availability of the vaccines. Expectedly, the numbers will be small at the start of this, but then will increase as we move along in the process. From a general public perspective, vaccines will probably only be available from about the spring. That is what the projection is, and it's not expected to change at this point in time. Also, critical to from a public health perspective, confidence around the vaccine is as important as the safety and efficacy of the vaccine. The idea behind vaccines is always to build herd immunity. And if there's not enough people signing up and receiving the vaccine, then it defeats the entire public health objective of this. So the state of Delaware has created a vaccine website. Is coronavirus.delaware.gov/vaccine for information around the vaccine, information for the public, information for healthcare providers. And there's a frequently asked question part of it that attempts to address all of the questions that are out there.
So it's interesting. The issue is interesting around the confidence, Anthony, and then I do want to share this with you.
Yes, the 3 former presidents have indicated that they will volunteer to receive the vaccine. It's all part of building the public confidence around the vaccine. As we probably know, one of these presidents, I believe, has a comorbidity, and it probably helps to build confidence within his age group, that the vaccines safety that's often come up, and it's a question of how quickly the vaccine was developed. It's a little bit like I kind of liken it to how long it took Ford Motors to build the Model T in 1913 compared to how quickly they're able to build a vehicle in 2020. It's just a difference in technology. We have what is called the messenger RNA approach based on genetic modeling. So it's a faster process. It's just simply a case of newer technology being available. And added to that, the crucial decision by the Trump administration to prepay for the vaccine and therefore take the financial decision, financial consideration away from how quickly a vaccine is built. So the combination of those two factors is the primary reason why we are here today. What has been shortened in this process is the bureaucracy, but not the safety and efficacy part of this. That process played itself out as it should, and is the reason why Dr. Fauci, about a day or two ago, made the point that they haven't shortened the safety and efficacy consideration that is built into the vaccine development process. So that remains.
Well, speaking of Dr. Fauci, just saw an update on Twitter. He is here. I'm going to share with you. He's going to stay in the position. So he was, yes, he was offered the position to stay, and then he accepted that.
Yes.
So I mean, we do like him, so he should stay, and then I believe he's going to be the key player of this process anyway. So
yeah, I have two friends who are participants in the vaccine trials, one in London and one in Rockville in Maryland, and the reaction to receiving the vaccine is some of them, both of them say that it's a little bit challenging in terms of the reaction, but none of these is of any major concern so far.
I just want to go back to this picture. So these guys are not all same age. It's only George Bush and Bill Clinton are same. So they're 74. Obama is only 59 years old.
Yes, and I believe last night Biden did say that he will volunteer also to receive the vaccine. Biden and Senator Harris did say that. So, and Biden is 78, I believe.
Biden's actually 77.
Okay, 77. Yep.
Okay, that we can check that right away. Let's ask Uncle Google. I thought he was like a year younger than my dad.
Don't hold me to that.
He's 78. Yeah, he's
78.
So he's younger, 1 year younger than my dad.
78, yes. So
he should definitely get it. Now, Anthony, when we have the issue on the confidence, I just wanted to start, as you know, last night, I just wanted to start our internal study. So we have the survey went out, and so far I got 50 responses. So the question was, would you take the COVID vaccine when available? So 76% of our responders said yes. There's the 24% who are not comfortable yet. Now, when we ask them why they're not comfortable, these are the four like 5 of them, let's say. So frontline workers needed more at this time. So one of them says, I don't believe it's safe, or I don't trust it. So the other one says, I don't feel comfortable. And the other one says, would like more info on the side effects. So I think all these things that I see, the issue on the confidence, and I may be one of those people, so I'm not 100%. So the only reason I'm not 100% is based on what we were given to now about these trials and what the process is and how long it takes. And so the expectation is built around those studies. So now we have this perception rather than really educated, decision. We are just the perception of, no, you don't want to get it too early. But that's, I think it's not the case. I think what you were saying earlier is really important. So this is not the first time we are doing the vaccine. So we have done so many of them, and we already have the process much faster and then much safer. So in fact, perhaps before this, some of those the steps that we take on the bureaucracy should have been shortened anyway. So it just happened that now it's happening during the time of the pandemic, and it seems like if it was necessary just for this, but I don't think it's the case. What I'm trying to say basically is we are capable of putting the vaccine out there in a safe way. And I think this is safe enough. And we have to believe in the science. So we can just go against the science anyway. So if the doctors are comfortable,
Yes.
and we just need to follow that.
Yes, and the other thing to speak to some of those numbers is that now that we have clearly 2 vaccine candidates that are about to complete the approval process, messaging and the awareness creation and education around the vaccines can actually truly begin, because we have 2 clearly identified candidates to vaccine products effectively. So that number, even though at this point concerning, I'm referring to the 20-something% who say no, that number is expected to go down as more information becomes available. And it's also in part why the meetings that are scheduled on the 10th and on the 17th are being broadcast live on the YouTube channel, so that more and more people can see the process itself play itself out in the open. And they've also confirmed that the data from these studies will become publicly available once this EU process is completed. So it's I expect that number to improve. So I would say if we run the same survey, perhaps in February or March, we'll probably get different numbers from what
so we have so far only 50 responses, and I actually made that public on Twitter. Maybe we can actually put it on Facebook and other media. George, in fact, if you are listening, so if you can share that from my Twitter account, so that's the link, so we can actually get more people, more responses. So maybe next week we can actually provide an update with a bigger pool. So Anthony, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
We'll see you later. Thank you. Now from here, I know we are kind of going over our time limit, but it's okay. I believe it's a good conversation. So one of the other things that we wanted to discuss at some point, and we can maybe go into the details later on, the transition of care challenges managing high emergency department ED utilizers. So this is an article that I shared, I wrote last year, I believe it was, right? Yeah. So, and it's available on LinkedIn and on my personal site, we want to educate public in terms of what really is happening with the patients who are actually utilizing the ED almost like a PCP office. Now, honestly, after the COVID, it's now different because no one wants to go to the hospital unless it's a real emergency. Maybe this is going to be another silver lining from this. Other than the low flu numbers, it's going to be another thing is that we are going to have a behavioral change on the ED visits, because it's really unnecessary unless you have a reason, emergency reason that you need to be in the hospital. You should not be in the hospital. So this is true for the outpatient surgeries. Like today, we do even if it's not same, maybe even safer bariatric surgery we do in the outpatient setting, and we do more of those than we do it in the hospital. Patients are discharged. 100% of the patients are discharged on the same day. So before we had to go through the hospital system where a patient had to stay, which they didn't need to stay in the hospital. It's a safe procedure. How we are bringing those patients up to the surgery at the time that you are preparing them. So there are a lot of good ways to actually change the behavior and make it permanent. Now, as many of you maybe already heard that Medicare made the telemedicine permanent. So it would be almost extremely unreasonable for us to expect an elderly patient to leave their home for a visit with the doctor, which can be done through telemedicine. So now I'm going to go into the transition of care issues and the utilization of the hospital more. Maybe next week we can do.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's an interesting topic because that's spot on with mentioning how there's almost another silver lining there. Just to really quickly, my thought with that, that as having our patients stay away from the hospital, obviously to be in more safe environment, and to let them know that now we want to make sure that the hospitals aren't oversaturated and that they have the equipment that they need to treat the pandemic. I think that a lot of patients are going to start to see that they have things that they could necessarily have treated or have taken care of with outside of that setting. And now with the pandemic, and a lot of patients not wanting to go into those ED or the ER rooms where they might be overcrowded and they want to make sure that they're staying away from the virus, I think that they might start to see that some of these problems that they had been continuously going there for can be treated elsewhere through telemedicine, that they can still see their provider and get that addressed in a safe manner. So I do think that that's an interesting
Absolutely.
topic.
And then with the telemedicine, we also need to make sure that our patients are utilizing their patient portal.
Correct.
So it's through Cerner system, our patient portal called IQ Health. We want patients to utilize the patient portal, not only just for the telemedicine, but also for the number of calls that we are getting. We are not able to answer every call in a timely manner, but if it's coming through the portal, then we are able to answer those. So this is something that is definitely it's a must. So in fact, in United Medical Clinic, after January 1, we are not going to take certain calls if the patient is calling for refill requests. It should be done because we don't have enough people, and we'll never have enough people to answer that many calls in a timely manner. So if you call American Air, so your wait time is 40 minutes. But for whatever reason, when people call the patient, the physician practice, they expect the call to be answered in 30 seconds, and that's not realistic in 2021. So we do expect our patients to use the patient portal for all the communication, and I'm going to actually bring this up every week. And even if I have 3-4 people understanding this every week, that's still okay. So now, with the telemedicine, again, we have done so many events between CRIAS, American Surgery Center, and United Medical Wellness Group. So many videos are available for clinical education, business, and social issues that we have. So please utilize these. These are extremely important resources, and I'm hoping that our patients can take advantage of these as we go. Now, actually, I do know that right now between the 3 channels, we are over 750,000 minutes. So I'm not going to make the same mistake. It was not 750,000 hours, but 750,000 minutes watch time,
Right.
which is pretty significant for the short amount of time that we've been doing it.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm hoping that we can actually do more and then reach out to more people. We are sending the emails to all of our patients where we have the email access. So that's going to probably increase. So that's all we have for today. So Tanner, thank you for helping us and being part of this. Anthony was with us earlier, so we thank him as well. And next week, I invited one of the hospital CEOs. I think it's going to be confirmed maybe for next Friday. If not, we'll have one of our physicians perhaps. But we are trying to really keep you up to date with everything that's happening around COVID-19 and the vaccine and the other stuff. So hopefully this is, you guys are benefiting from this. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back next week. There are 3 events on Tuesday night. We have the, actually next week we have 4 events.
Yes, that's correct.
So we have 4 events with, Koreas actually has a St. Francis bariatric program on December 8th at 6 p.m. December 9th, we have the Surgery Center live event. Same day, we have at 7 p.m. Wednesday wellness webinar with Amy. And then Friday, we'll be back for this event. So again, I know this is a long week and everyone is tired, and hopefully you enjoy this session, and then we'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.